Hi guys, I'm the Lag Dr. Clay Ballard, and today we're going to take a look at Tiger Woods' swing. We're going to talk about three possible causes, three things that are putting undue stress on his back and could be leading to the recent injuries he's had in his lower back. And then we're going to talk about how you can eliminate these from your own swing so that you can play injury-free, still get good speed, still hit the ball great, and play for a long time. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about before we get started is Tiger has a phenomenal golf swing. I mean, really efficient, effective swing. I would copy many of the motions from his swing, but nobody's perfect. Nobody does everything absolutely perfectly, and these are just some things that I would recommend to eliminate some of the stress off his lower back. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about here is how much curvature he has in his spine at impact and just post-impact. So here he's rotating very aggressively, and I want to mark the angle of the spine all the way down, and you'll notice just how much curvature he has in the lower spine. So really curving a lot as he's making this swing, and when you add a lot of rotation to this, that puts a lot of stress on the body. So two things that really cause a lot of pain in the back. Number one is curvature or excess curvature. There's always going to be a slight amount of curvature in your back, but really bending the spine an excessive amount, either laterally or forward, and then rotating it, which would be the second piece. Those are the two main factors for causing back pain. So what I would recommend, not quite the best angle to be looking at this. We'd like to be directly face on rather than at this angled vantage point. We'd like to see that shoulder to be stacked over the hip and stacked over the ankle. So you can see there's a little bit too much curvature back this way, away from the target. And let's go ahead and take a look at a face-on view so we can see this in a little better perspective. Alright, so now in this face-on view, what we'll do is we'll draw a vertical line from the center of the left ankle. And at impact, what we'd really like to see is the left hip socket and the left shoulder socket to be on this line at impact. So if we go one more frame forward, that would be right at impact. And what we can see is that his left hip socket has slid a little bit in front of this line. Actually, that line has moved on me a little bit. This camera is a little bit wobbly. This camera view is. There we go, so there's a perfect angle. We see that left hip's barely slid in front of it, but look how much farther back the left shoulder is. So what that's doing again is that's putting an angle between these joints, left ankle, left hip, left shoulder, and again that's causing this curvature of the lower back through impact, and curvature and rotation together can definitely cause some injury. So now let's go ahead and take a look at another contributing factor to this from a down the line view. Alright, so now let's take a look at Tiger from the down the line view. We'll talk about two more things that he could possibly tweak that would help to eliminate some stress on the lower back. We'll notice here at address he's quite a bit hinged forward, not too bad, but as he goes later into the swing, as he's starting to leverage the ground, he really gets tilted forward very close to the ground with his body. So he's overdoing this move a bit, and now you can see just how parallel his body is with the ground here, and you can still leverage the ground without getting your spine as tilted forward. Leveraging the ground has to do with bending the legs, and then you'll see as he drives upward here how he releases from the legs, driving upward with the lower body, giving him a leverage to release the club. So he can still do these same great moves with the legs, like we talk about leveraging the ground with constantly, but keeping the spine a little bit more upright. That'll allow him to eliminate some of that stress. The reason being that, let's go ahead and eliminate some of these. If I go into the downswing and I have a lot of bend forward from my spine, what that's doing is that's stretching out the muscles in my lower back. So now these lower back muscles are getting stretched out, and they're not as elastic, they're not as easily able to rotate as you're coming through there. So as he gets hinged forward more and then he starts to rotate, that's putting a little bit of undue stress, and we can really see, just as we've demonstrated with the other video, just how much curvature there is by this stripe that's going down the back of his shirt. You can see just how much curvature there is in the spine, a little bit of excess curvature. So he can still use the great leveraging motions from the ground, but I recommend standing a little bit higher. What we recommend a lot of times is at address, you want to hinge forward enough to where you can see the ball comfortably without bending your neck down. So he's a little bit more than he needs to be here, but mostly in the downswing we don't really want to increase that angle anymore. So you can see how you really dropped not only the lower body went down to load and leverage the ground like we talk about in the Power U video, but also the upper body tilted forward. So I'd like to see that a little bit higher. Now the very last piece with this is that when we get a more vertical shoulder plane, as he's doing here, because he's so parallel with the ground with his torso, or so hinged forward from the hips, you'll see that that gets his arm plane much flatter in relationship to his shoulder. So this wouldn't be a true one plane swing. It would need to be a little bit lower here to be a true one plane swing, but it's getting pretty close to what a lot of people would consider a one plane swing. So he's a lot flatter than he used to be in relationship to his arm swing and his shoulder swing. What that means is that now he can't necessarily use as much arm leverage as he used to in the past. So for instance, in 2000, 2001, around in there, had a much more vertical swing, much more upright body positions, and that allowed him to use gravity to help accelerate this club downward. So in those videos, if you go back and watch, his shoulders would be more parallel with the ground like this, and the left arm would be more vertical in relationship to those shoulders. That will also help to eliminate stress on the lower back, because again, remember the two things that hurt the lower back, one of them is curvature, another one is rotation. Whenever we have these arms flat and across the shoulders, we need a lot more rotation to help accelerate that club, which means a lot more stress. So it does offer some advantages. Most proponents of a one type plane swing are big into taking the hands out of the swing, less hands, less arms. Still definitely using some hands and arms. You can see how he really lets that club go as he's releasing it, but using more rotation to take over for the hands and the arms. The advantages of that, or the proposed advantages of that, are that it's a little bit more consistent. That's not what I've found and what I've researched through other players. If you look at a lot of the most consistent drivers on the PGA Tour, they use a lot of release, and they're not always very rotational players. A lot of them are using leverage with the arms, a more vertical arm swing, and then really letting that club to release. They're getting the power from releasing the club rather than trying to rotate their body. So I would recommend those three changes, making sure that the left shoulder, left hip, left ankle are all stacked up at impact, making sure that left shoulder doesn't get too far back behind the hip, and that's going to curve the lower back. Getting a little bit more vertical with the spine, and then getting a little bit higher arms. That way he can take advantage of leverage from the gravity as he has in the past back in 2000, 2001. Overall, still has one of the best swings on tour. Still an incredibly efficient and effective swing. Definitely tons and tons of motions that I would absolutely copy in the golf swing, but nobody's perfect. Everybody has things that they can work on, and those are three things that I would recommend to eliminate a little bit of stress from the back and to help him play a little bit with a little bit less risk of injury. And hopefully that'll help you guys to play with a little bit less risk of injury as you move forward, for those of you that are having some back pain. All right, so for those of you who join us on YouTube, I'd recommend watching the Impact Alignments face-on video. We talk about getting those hips, those shoulders, and those left ankles, all three of those joints, lined up perfectly over top of each other so that we can eliminate any stress on the hip or the back, and we can play injury-free. So I'm going to attach a short preview of that. If you do want to watch the rest of that video, you can click sign up for your free Rotary Swing membership, and as you sign up, you'll be able to watch that video for free, plus tons of other instruction. Also, something to take advantage of, those of you that are premium members of the Rotary Swing website, you do get 2 swing reviews included. Those are video swing reviews every month with your membership, so be sure to take advantage of those. Not everybody's sending in their swing reviews as often as they should, and we're going to have a certified pro walk you right through exactly what you can do to eliminate back pain, to increase lag, to get more distance, to be more efficient. Anything that you want to work on, we can help you with that. So I look forward to seeing you guys much more in the future on the website, and I'll talk to you soon.
At the end of the day, the most important thing in golf is impact. Everything that we do, going back, doing drills in the backswing, getting the takeaway right, the grip right, the setup right, all of that has everything to do with just getting impact right. That's the whole point of everything that we do to get all these positions correct in the backswing and get all these repetitions in, is to make sure that when we strike this ball, everything's in perfect alignment. So this video is going to cover what that is in a face-on view. So we're going to talk about what we call the impact alignments, and we're talking about how the club and the shaft and the joints and everything align up to get into a perfect impact position so that we can get the ball starting out on line. That's a key.